Hello and welcome to Creepy and Weird Podcast. We're back after a little holiday break, and hopefully you had a good holiday. I'm Jamie,
I'm Amy.
and yeah, welcome. So, yeah, what are we doing here tonight? I'm unprepared for everything. My last couple weeks have been chaos, so.
So anyway, we're talking about ground up dead bodies.
Oh,
Except, except it's ground up Egyptian mummies and how they were used. They were like shipped out of Egypt, like sold, I don't know, whatever the price was, then used for paint and medicine.
I did not do the reading for this, so I am not familiar. So
Hmm.
I'm going to let you go ahead and explain, and I'll interject with questions
Okay.
because I'm sure I'll have them.
Hmm. So anyway, before getting into the dead bodies, I wanted to talk a little bit about bitumen, which I have here. Bitumen, also mostly used interchangeably with the word asphalt. It's a liquid or semi-solid form of petroleum. It can occur naturally or be refined. These days it's mostly used in construction, for roads where it's used to form asphalt concrete. It's also used to seal roofs and for other roofing materials. In ancient times it was used for waterproofing and because it had adhesive properties. Pliny the Elder, among others, recorded it being used long ago for a variety of medical purposes, such as treatment of toothaches, epilepsy, broken bones, and dysentery.
And this is just a bitumen, right? Or is that what it is? That it?
It's like part of asphalt,
Okay, okay,
but yeah, it's just like comes from petroleum naturally or not
okay.
naturally. Can also be made. Anyway, because of
Sorry.
the appearance of bitumen, the discoloration that appeared on mummified corpses was wrongly thought to also contain this substance. Rather than relying on natural deposits in the earth, people started to consider dead bodies to be an alternative source of bitumen. This also,
Ah,
this also, however, accounts for the word mummy itself, since the Persian word mum or mumia was used for both the actual bitumen and for the substances that came from the mummified corpses. So suddenly, people in Europe were buying corpses from Egypt, grinding them up, and using them as medicine and as pigment. Because the bitumen was also used as medicine, but they're like, oh, this would make good pigment too, because it was sort of like, they said it was sort of between burnt umber, which is like a more dark brown, and raw umber, which is more reddish, and it was somewhere between these two browns.
and that only happens though when a body's mummified.
Sort of.
Is there
It
like
appears that
something
way.
in the mummification process that allows it to
Yeah, I'm
be
not really
brown
sure.
like that?
Not really sure exactly what's going on. I just know that, like, gross stuff was oozing out of them, and it was brown.
Okay.
Corpse
I
ooze.
mean, makes sense.
Mm.
It's rot.
Okay, the ground up bodies were applied topically or mixed into medicinal beverages. It became a very common drug in the 16th and 17th centuries.
Just for healing though, right?
Yeah, it
Like
didn't like
you
do
couldn't get
anything,
high
but I
off of
thought it
it.
did.
Okay.
Or they'd like rub it on themselves and things.
Okay,
Like
okay.
rubbing corpse stuff. So anyway, mummy brown, also called Egyptian brown and caput mortuum, anyway, was a paint pigment made from people. Mummified Egyptian people specifically.
Okay, okay. So there is something with the specific with the mummification. All right.
And also the pieces of mummies were kept in cabinets as cabinets of curiosities as a sort of collectible, and people would like
Right.
go places and like you'd go to a shop and the shopkeeper would be like, here, have this mummy finger, as a souvenir.
Well, I know that there were times where like they were buying them, like just individuals were buying them, cheap or whatever,
Yeah,
so they could just have it in their home and like, oh, look, and by the way, we have a mummy. Aren't we cool,
great. But okay, so mummies were considered a source of bitumen, even though they weren't, and thought to have value as medicine. When they ran out of the ancient Egyptian mummies, they resorted to using the bodies of slaves or criminals. These bodies were treated with bitumen and exposed to the sun to mummify them, then sold as if they were ancient mummies. There were counterfeits of these even, and non-human remains were sometimes used. The
I,
children mummies, they sometimes use ibises, and sometimes they contain camel flesh.
I'm stuck on something.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've got to backtrack for a moment. I am totally stuck on this. So I'm gonna just to be clear. So they said that the mummies were something that they aren't, but it was a petroleum based item.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they used it as medicine. Now, if you recall here, like, what is it with people using petroleum based products as like medicinal when clearly they're not? Because we had people here, drinking crude oil as cures. Because
Yeah.
I remember those little crude oil bottles you get.
Yeah, my mom has one.
Um, yeah, and it says on there not intended for medicinal use. And it's like, so what is it with these people? Like, back in the day, like we're just gonna eat petroleum?
They were desperate and they just figured this tastes nasty. Maybe it's medicine. I don't
It
know.
just kills you quicker.
Yeah. Well, that
Anyway,
and the fucking
sorry.
radium and shit.
Right, right. Yeah,
Radium and everything, and the toothpaste. The radium
yeah,
girls licking the brushes.
yeah. Totally safe. You can tell that shit happened before OSHA. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt, but like
So where was I? Okay. So they had the ancient Egyptian mummies, and then they would grave rob and use those to like mummify those corpses and sell them as if they were ancient mummies, and sometimes they also used animals.
okay.
So, mummy brown itself was a rich brown somewhere in between the colors of burnt umber and raw umber. Pre-Raphaelite painters used lots of this. Fat and ammonia, it could vary in both quality and composition, and this could
Okay.
affect the colors in the paints around it and like fuck them up.
Well, right, because ammonia would. It's like
And the
stripping.
fat too, apparently.
Yeah.
So it's transparent and had a tendency to crack. It also faded easily. So it's great, you know.
Right.
It's like all kinds of shitty. So there was a high demand for the pigment, and not too many Egyptian mummies were available. Now there's even fewer because they did shit like this. And so yes, it was made sometimes counterfeit things. And another story that you also see told about this is the artist Edward Burne Jones reportedly was shocked to learn about the actual origins of the pigment and ceremonially buried his tube of mummy brown in his garden. One of his daughters planted a daisy above it.
Aw. Well, at least he felt guilty there. That's weird.
Hmm.
Just to grind up bodies. I'm sorry, and pass. But am I surprised by it? Yeah, no, they did weird shit. Look at even China, like fine China. Some of it's made with bones,
Mm-hmm.
and so man,
Radium girls.
yes, that's it's like I felt bad. There's a part of me that feels bad because they didn't fucking know, they didn't know any better, and they were told it was safe,
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody should feel
and
bad because their employers didn't, you know?
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it's like I don't understand why you wanted to coat yourself in this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it wasn't just painting the clocks. It was they'd like
Painting
paint
their
their lips and
teeth,
shit. And they paint their teeth. They get
their
it all over their
nails. Yeah,
clothes.
yeah.
And when they'd leave at night, they'd glow from
They're
all the
supposed to
dust.
be working. They're supposed to be working painting watches, and they're having like a freaking rave party. It's like, you know. But they were told it was safe, so
Hmm.
hey,
Well, if I
And
didn't know
that's
better, I
and
might do the same thing and have a fucking rave at work. I don't know.
right.
I like shiny things.
Shiny things are fun, but yeah, I don't know. I've never been compelled to put, the glow in the dark paint on my teeth. That just, I wouldn't. That just doesn't seem like a good idea, at all. Like
Yeah.
put paint in your mouth. But I mean, we were told from the time we were kids, don't eat the paste, and that was just flour and water. It was basically a raw dumpling.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have we been up to anything? I don't know.
no, Well, my hair, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It vanished. So, and it's whiter. I look like the little boy from Harry Potter that isn't Harry Potter. uh, Other than that, everything's been slow. It's been weird. Well, I mean, news wise, it hasn't been slow, but
Yeah.
that's, dude, that shit yesterday was crazy. The Nashville shit.
Mm-hmm. No, I think we've just been like busy with work and shit.
Well, yeah, that, well, me and my lack of work. Home is work now, being with the indoor dining shut down. So I'm off work again. Yay. So it's like one of those things where you think you would have more time being at home, but you don't.
Yeah, my problem is, I work from home and there's always temptation to shitpost instead of
Yes.
work.
Yes.
Since I'm paid
Yeah,
by the
no.
project and not the hour, they can't complain though.
So I did develop a new hobby, though, a weird hobby over the past couple weeks, and you got to see the product
Oh,
of it. I ended up with a substantial amount of deer fat and decided, what can I do with this? And ended up making tallow.
there we go.
Yes, there. And that is a lovely cinnamon. But that is completely made out of rendered deer fat. So, yes, I made.
And that's why my dog Odin tried to eat it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to warn you about that.
Well, I just
Yes,
stupidly put the bag on the floor and he just like beeline for it.
well, what blew my mind is like,
I
learning
better put
how
this up
to,
and not down on the floor. Hey,
right? Learning how to render fat, which, is, I mean, it's different than melting wax, so actually going through the process of rendering fat, and it takes days for one batch because you have to do the rendering, which melt it down, get rid of all the the pieces of meat and stuff that you don't want, and then not every piece of fat cooks away to nothing, so then you have to like skim that off the top, and then you have to do like the purification process, which also takes a couple days, and you just keep blending water with the fat and baking soda, and the baking soda removes the
so
smell.
are these candles vegan?
They are not. No, no, they're not vegan friendly at all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry
Yeah,
to our vegan viewers.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about
But
that.
it's using all the parts of the
It is, and a lot of people
not
actually just
wasteful.
throw deer fat away. So, I decided to try to do something with it. And yeah, and I ended up surprised when you smell it and then light it, it's completely odorless, except the dogs. Dogs are like, hey, can I eat this?
My grandpa had like pelt that kept forever, and like we actually brought it to bar where you work, but you weren't there. So we were all like drinking beer with this piece of deer, me and my uncles.
Yeah, no, it's
Probably had
hunting.
hamburgers.
It's funny to me because like here where we're at, there's always been like hunting culture. It's a thing,
Kids
and
getting the
and
day off
then
of school.
yeah, yeah, and we didn't get MLK Day off, but we got the first day of buck off and the first day of doe.
Yep.
So I was like, whatever.
And I remember that one gym teacher like teaching some sort of gun safety or something. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
hunter safety course.
Yes, that
Yeah,
was it.
yes.
And
So
talking about rifles and things. My grandpa like even towards the end he was having me like, fill shotgun shells for him.
right, which is hey, refilling shells is a good skill to
Mm.
have. Not a lot of people can do that, and but no, it's funny, growing up in that culture and then talking to other people and they're just like, yeah, I don't
And
get
like, what
it.
the hell are you
And
talking about? you know?
yeah, right, right. And it's always like, hey man, we got that day off of school.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 years old, everybody, when you're 12 years old here, hunter safety, even if we didn't want to, we were like, we don't want to do this. It was like, you still have to go,
Yeah, it was like
you know,
I've never touched a gun in my life. you know?
right? I cannot say the same, but,
Mm.
uh, yeah, no, it's,
He took one of my
But
cousins out shooting too. Toward the end,
hmm,
he took one of my cousins out shooting my grandpa, and she had like a bunch of pictures up. I've done archery, but not like shooting
I am
guns.
terrible at archery.
Mm.
Terrible.
I was okay like thousands of years ago, but I haven't like, since.
Right. Yeah, I'm better with the rifle than I am with archery. And that's what we have. Archery season is getting ready to start again on December 27th. So
I've only ever
more.
target practiced with it.
It's harder to hit the moving targets.
Yeah,
Like,
that tends to be a fact in
yeah,
general.
I couldn't imagine. I actually couldn't imagine hunting with a bow because I'm not good at all. Like my skill is no. And so I would never even be able to hit a moving target.
Mm.
So I didn't mean to hijack this with a hunting conversation, but
Oh, yeah. This is the
it's,
season and all.
yeah,
Here,
exactly.
anyway. We don't know about our viewers here.
All right, right. But yeah, that's the holiday vacation tradition here.
Small town
And
culture here.
yes.
Rural.
So, but hey, I put it to good use and made a candle, and was kind of surprised. Mainly it was because I set out to do it, and how things work with me. I said something about doing it, and somebody's like, "No, you can't do that," and I'm like, "I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You just told me I can't do it. I'm gonna do it." And so yeah, I came home and did it, and was like, "Yay, it worked." And yours, I think, is cinnamon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some of them were cinnamon and clove, and then
Hey,
some were rosemary.
our cultural traditions here involve drinking and hunting. Wait, that looks
Yes.
weird with a green screen.
Just, not at the same time.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to follow us on Twitter.
Check out our store for shirts, Ouija boards, stickers, and other creepy and weird stuff.